Hello, everyone, and welcome. It's Monday, and I have a show tonight because I did not have a show on Thursday, and I want to apologize to everyone. I meant to have a show. I wanted to have a show, but unfortunately, I had some computer issues. I wasn't able to do anything, and I felt really bad because I had no way of contacting the guest that was supposed to come on. Well, she has rescheduled, so it is tonight. So tonight kicks off our, and she's emailing me, food edition of the show. So she is currently sending me a message, so I apologize. Through Instagram, no less. So she will be on momentarily. So Ariel, welcome. I just saw you. Hello. I'm waiting for a couple more people. See, it's Monday, so not a lot of people are used to me doing shows on Mondays. So I'm kind of throwing myself off this entire week. So there's 3 shows this week. You get Monday today, and then you also get Thursday and Friday. So 3 shows in 1 week. There you go. Welcome to my grandmother. She's very adamant to come on, and I don't blame her. So, and speaking of food, you know me. I'm back to jelly beans. So we're going to be talking to her momentarily. She just got the link, so she will be on. I'm just waiting for a couple more people. I did let people know that I was having a show. I noticed that they are not on, which is no surprise to me. Why? Because it's Monday, and people are just not used to it, I guess. So I am going to tag a couple of people, so bear with me. Who do we have here? Who just came on? Mark. Hello, Mark. Welcome. You just made it. Well, you had plenty of time. Anyways, let me see here. I'm just going to tag a couple of people. I have to write in here. Let's see. I usually don't tag people when people need to know that there is a show. I guess it makes sense to tag people. I think it's a waste of time, to be honest with you. But I guess it's also a good thing to be reminded, in case you forget, I do that with Daniel Payton's show all the time. He tags me in every single one of them. I always forget it because I'm usually working. But not this week. Well, I am working this week. But all right. So I just tagged more people. Welcome to my aunt. Welcome. Hello. I'm just waiting for a couple more people. Like I said, I just tagged my sisters. Don't forget to like and share this video. It's also live on YouTube right now, as well as Facebook. So no matter where you are, you can watch this. Don't forget that the show is also a podcast. So if you listen to iHeartRadio, Spotify, I'm also on Google Podcasts as well. What else am I on? I'm on a lot of Spreaker. I'm on Spreaker. So if you're on the go, if you're walking, you're hiking, you're out and about, you're working out, you're doing whatever. Maybe you're at work. I don't know. There's no excuse that you cannot listen to my show or watch it because it's the internet. It never goes away. So I don't know how to pronounce my guest's last name. Isn't that pretty sad? So I'm going to have her do it. But her first name is Barbara, by the way. So, and she will be talking about her book called Olive. And she likes food. So this is going to be very interesting. So hello to Daniel Payton. Kayla, welcome. There she is. So yeah. So, and don't forget, depending on how the guest is actually watching, don't forget, if you are posting questions, they can see your questions. They can see the chat room. They can interact with you. So in case I miss something, I usually try to read them as they're going up. So make sure to get your questions ready and everything else. So it's the first time I've actually talked about food on the show. I think I've only had a cookbook author when I was on the Brian and Sherry show, which was like 4-5 years ago. So I still have that cookbook too. But you guys wanted food, so we have a whole month and on of people coming on talking about food. So it's going to be very interesting. So I think so. But anyways, I haven't spoken to you in a while now because we missed Thursday's show, which was a disaster in itself. All fixed. As you can see, I'm on the air and she's sitting there. She's waiting for me. So, and listening. What has everyone been up to? I haven't heard from you in a little over a week now. So I want to know what everyone's been up to. And don't mind me, I'm eating my jelly beans. So we're talking about food, right? I might as well eat. Anyways. Anybody? Kayla, nice shirt. Thank you. I like my shirt. What is that? Anyways. So yeah, what's everyone been doing? I haven't been doing anything. Like I said, I work 40 hours a week. I have been up since 3 o'clock this morning. I'm surprised I'm still going, but I have no choice. I had to get this show in. We had to do this show. And I have 2 more to do this week. So don't forget, Friday, I added Fridays. So you're getting 3 shows this week, which is unheard of. So you're getting spoiled big time. Ariel, what have you been up to? I know what my grandmother's been up to. I was visiting with her yesterday. My aunt, I know what you're up to. Most of the time it's still puzzles and stuff. Let's see. My sister has been cleaning, cooking, and Cheryl made chicken tacos. Sounds disgusting. Let's see. Reading some books. I know I've been getting everyone reading because that is my new pastime, no thanks to COVID. And I've never realized how much I would enjoy reading if it wasn't for COVID. I love books, but I've been reading almost every day. So I know that since March, I've read over 100 books so far. And I think that's the other reason why I have authors on this show, because they have fantastic books and I keep reading. So if you have a Kindle or an iPad or whatever, download these books and read them. There's no excuse. Everyone's got time, right? Unless you're working like me. So let's see. Ariel trying to come up with some ideas for recipes for my niece's wedding. Are you making a cake? Are you making food? Is it potluck? Mark doing some painting, doing some writing, walking my dog. There you go. Sounds fun. Just want to make sure I'm reading everyone's comments. So, yeah. Fantastic. Like I said, I've been doing nothing. I have been working. Yeah. That's pretty much all I do is work. Sleep and work. That's all I do. So, but that's what happens when you're in the customer service industry. So, yeah. What has everyone else been up to besides any of that? Is anyone looking forward to something? Liberty is coming up. I'm going away on Saturday. I'm going to Lake George, which is located in New York. For those of you who do not know, I am located in Massachusetts. I'm in the Berkshires. So Ariel said it is a potluck, and she wants me to bake. I love to bake. Ariel, I did not know that you love to bake. I love to bake too, when I don't burn things. So interesting. Well, very good. I'm pretty sure whatever you make will be fantastic, and they will enjoy it. And if they don't, well, oh well. Fooey on them. So, yeah. Mark, writing exactly what? What are you writing? I'm interested to know. So, in the meantime, I have posted the link of Barbara's book on the Facebook page, the link to Amazon where you can purchase the book and read it, which I encourage you to. Don't forget, and I stress it every show when I have an author on, if you buy an author's book, or any book for that matter, on Amazon, and you read it, please leave a review. It's very, very important. Not only does it help the author, but it also helps potential readers like myself, because I read the reviews before I get into a book. Whether it's, I would like to hear people's comments, whether it's good or bad. I think the author is the same way. I know some authors that like it either way. So that way they kind of learn, for the next book that they write, so yeah. So yeah, but I'm going to stop chatting because I really want to chat with her. I really want her to come on. And we're going to get talking about food and life and everything in between. So are you ready, Barbara? You're ready. Yeah, you're ready. I think so. No, she's dying to get on. She's dying. There she is.
Hi, I'm excited to be on.
How are
You're
you?
so right about the reviews. Can I just say that I didn't realize this was a thing until I published a book. And now it's like, wow, this does matter. And I'm now feeling like kind of a jerk for every book that I ever read and didn't write a review about. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I have a lot of authors that watch the show. Like, can you see the chat room, by the way? Off to the side?
I can see a private chat. Oh, hold on. Oh, whoa, there's like a, yes, I can. There's
Well, there you go. Perfect.
By the way, Ariel, you should make I'm going to always say it wrong. Challah pretzel dogs. It's the ultimate in wedding potlucks. Just saying.
Hollow pretzel dogs?
Challah. I always say it. It's like,
Challah?
Yeah, I say it like a very white non-Jewish person. I'm like, it's challah. No, it's not. It's really not. So, but yeah, it's they want something baked. It is the most addictive, happy food in the world.
Is it a side? Is it an appetizer? I've never heard of it.
It's a feast. It's an absolute feast all by itself. Oh. It's basically like you go ahead and get the kosher dogs because you're making, challah bread that you don't say the CH. And you make the bread like you normally would. You're wrapping it around. You do the dunk in baking soda so it turns it all pretzely and you bake it. I'm telling you, it's magic. It'd be a main thing.
Sounds good. I might have to try it myself, I guess. So, well, there you go, Ariel. There's something you can make. So, yeah. So, like I said at the beginning, this is maybe my second time talking about food. I don't talk about food. I've never had guests on this show, anyways, that have written cookbooks that do anything food. I have so many different. When I put the ad out, I wasn't really expecting a whole lot of people, to be honest with you. So when I got the overwhelming response of, I have chefs to critics to, people who Instagram, about food and, their farm life and all different types of things. It was very interesting to see. So I was very happy that all these people are coming on. So I don't know where to go with this, but There is a book attached to this, so at least I know what to do with that. Um, so I guess. And how do you pronounce your last name? Because
Oh yeah, you pretty much just have to leave out all the letters and then mispronounce the ones that are left, and you're there. It's pronounced Braendlein, bran like bran cereal, and line as in walk one.
so Barbara Braendlein.
Yeah, it's a terrible name. My husband insists that it is the entire reason that he can't spell. He's like, he didn't stand a chance. None of the rules apply.
I was going to say it at the beginning of the show, and I'm like, I don't even know. I'm going to just ruin it completely. So, and I'm going to feel bad. So, yeah, everyone knew that there was a Barbara coming on.
There you go.
So, yeah, which is, by the way, the name of my grandmother. She's in the chat room somewhere. Barbara, there she is. So, yeah.
It's a very good name. And actually, it's incredibly rare for me to have anyone under the age of 80 that has my name. So it has happened on occasion that we'll be in a doctor's office or something and they call for a Barbara, and it's usually me and someone 50 years older than me.
Yeah, I could see that.
It's okay.
I don't know any Barbaras but my grandmother, and now you.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. So, okay, food. So obviously you like food.
I do. So yeah, I was hooked by your ad because, and maybe it was cheating. Maybe this needs to be a punctuation thing. My book is not a cookbook, but I am an author who cooks a lot, right? Okay, so my latest cooking adventure here, and I would actually really love to hear from your listeners because I bet they have more insights than I do. We took this job in the Seattle area about 6 months ago on a vegetable farm. I did not know this was a thing, to grow large-scale vegetables in the Seattle area. I thought all we grew was mold. But there's every day my husband brings in some new thing to play with. And this week it's been borlotti beans. Has anybody heard of these? I think sometimes they get called cranberry beans. Okay, I'm watching your comments because somebody has to know this. I was told by somebody in Arkansas that Arkansas is always ahead of us, just in general. And they say that if you pick them early enough, you can cook them like green beans, or you can shell them, do like fresh shell beans. You don't have to dry them first. And the crazy thing is, they are like pink spotted. They are the coolest looking bean. And they say that you can dry them and they store forever. Stick them in the freezer, they store forever. That has been one of the new adventures in my kitchen. I'm still watching your comments because I think someone's going to tell me what to do right with these. I've been making soup, a lot of soup, and they're really tasty. I've never heard of them before.
Nope. I'm going to have to look that one up. Nope, I have not. Is this something healthy, obviously?
It is. They say that it's kind of a powerhouse as far as proteins, and the soup that, so we work for a very Italian farm family, and so all of the recipes that they give me are Italian, which is kind of great. Actually, they've taught me how to cook. Kale tips was another thing I didn't realize was a thing. So I think of kale as that kind of nasty stuff that everyone says is good for you, right? Like you stick it in smoothies because you're trying to drown out the taste, all of that. Apparently, if you let kale bolt, like if you let it just totally overgrow into the winter, you will have these little tips, and they're teeny tiny. You saute them up with garlic, and they're actually really good and taste nothing like kale. I am learning all these Italian tricks. So these Italian employers had steered me towards a soup recipe for these beans, and yeah, it uses like all of your garden produce this time of year. Is gardening a thing where you are? I've never been to the Berkshires.
There are farms.
There are farms. Okay.
There are farms. Oh yeah. I mean, I'm from the country and from Connecticut originally, so I'm used to the cows and chickens and all over the place. Manure.
Fertilizer. Yeah. Got to call it fertilizer. It's not really. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, the soup takes everything that is right out of the garden right now, which I have found to be pretty fun. But
so what is it about food? So you like to cook at home, right?
Yeah, I do. I like to cook at home. So I think of cooking in general as probably one of our most powerful mental health tools. I mean, has anybody else found this during all this shutdown and you're not allowed to go anywhere? And I swear, based on the first month, everybody decided to bake bread because I couldn't find flour in the store for weeks. And I'm like, seriously? Why are all of you buying? Why? But why? But I think that there's something that is very powerful about creating something for someone else that they're going to eat. Do you find that? I mean, you're spreading a table for someone else, and in that, I just find that there is phenomenal ability to change the mood of the house. Baking bread is a major one. If we're really having a day that is down in the dumps, pecan sticky buns. I'm just saying, it's really hard to stay grouchy when that is baking in your kitchen. And that's kind of how I have approached food. And in my book, which is a piece of fiction, but we see the world through her, through the main character's eyes. She's a 5-year-old. She's nonverbal, medically fragile, but we only know what she knows. And her perception of her mother's kitchen is how I feel about mine. That all of the good that we do in our families kind of starts there. You know, we set the tone for people's day beginning there.
Okay, well, that makes sense. So, yeah. But you also mentioned butter, though, right? Isn't there some? Okay, yeah, butter. I mean, I love butter, so I saw that, and I'm just like, this could be interesting.
Okay, so we again, no, actually, we came up with this before COVID ever came on the scene, but I think that mental health through butter is a thing. Can I just say, like, I think that there is something to be said for just the sheer happiness power of baking with butter.
Sure.
Just given the choice, I'm just saying. Like, I think that it was introduced to me by a friend who her husband suffers from pretty severe depression. And during the times that he can literally not haul himself out of bed, it is the first thing that she does is to start baking with butter. And you know, I mean, we say it half as a joke, but in a way, I think that when you're facing situations where you really can't do anything, you can't, there's no pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. You cannot fix your loved one's pain. I think things like this, maybe it's just the effort. Maybe it's just the picture that we're going to, you know, I'm going to serve you with the efforts of my hands, and butter makes everything a little better. And yes, Mark, it does work for Paula Deen. She's right, too. She had great hair.
It's true. Yeah, I love Paula Deen. Okay, well, that and I love butter, so that works too. Where did the idea come from for the book?
So Olive is a fictionalized version of my oldest daughter's early years. All 4 of my kids have mitochondrial disease. So it's a disease of energy production. And in the early years, we were in and out of the hospital all the time, probably the first 5 or 6 years. And people have told me forever, you ought to write a book. And I used to think that it meant that they saw some ability in my storytelling or that I must be such a good writer. And I slowly figured out that it was sort of code for your life is overwhelming to me and I would like to exit this conversation like, hey, you should write a book. And I tried to write our story biographically multiple times, just write it as nonfiction. And I would get to the end of it and not even I believe it. I think this just doesn't make sense to have 4 kids with this incredibly rare condition. So I decided to write this story as fiction, and I found that there's a level of fiction, of freedom that can happen in fiction. It's a little bit like handing a camera to a toddler. If you go back at the end of the day and you look at everything that they took pictures of, it's like, wow, there's a really up close doorknob, and there's a really up close, carpet fiber. It takes away everything else, and you focus on one thing. And I felt like writing my daughter's story as fiction gave me the freedom to just block out all the things that made it too much, that made it complicated or overly narrow. And instead, it gives me the opportunity to bring out all the commonalities that we as people experience. So that's where it came from. That was a long answer. Sorry.
No, you're fine. How long did it take to write?
This was the work of a summer.
Just a summer?
Yeah, it's not War and Peace, but yeah, no, it's, I think that once I actually gave myself permission to go ahead and tell our story, everything came out pretty easily. And it was summer, kids are playing, so I had a lot of time to write.
That's true. So how long is the book?
It is 96 pages.
Okay.
It is small, like the main character.
I've noticed, and I mentioned this, well, not last week, but the week before, to the last author, because his book wasn't very long either, and he had written, he was doing a series, and I told him, I said, I'm finding myself reading those stories and buying the books, or I do the Kindle Unlimited, where in 3 hours the book is done, or less, and they're very popular. Short books are very popular for some reason, so I enjoy it. So
Yeah, I really waffled as to whether or not it needed to be a much bigger thing. And I ended up stopping it where it was for two reasons. One was that I felt like if I kept going, there was no obvious stopping point in her life. And I kind of, and and second, I didn't want my character's life to run too much into my kid's life where
right,
it becomes prophetic. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
hey, I think you're going to do chess club in high school based on your character, because the kids read this story, and even though I can tell them like it's fiction, it's not you. They're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. But do we get a puppy later? Like they definitely see themselves in the book.
right.
So I kind of needed them to go ahead and grow up before I told the next part of their story.
So there's room for more.
I think so. I think the world is full of room for untold stories.
Oh, sure.
Um,
But I know that sometimes people stop. They don't want to get too caught up. Um, Maybe the story's been told. That's the stopping point. There's really no point of going on, even though there might be. So I would hope. I'm sure there is.
I think there's somewhere to go with this. I'm working on a project right now that is not related to this book. Like I said, I'm going to give my kids a chance to grow up some more before I do
Mhm.
another installation of Olive. But um, it gave me, like I said, fiction brought a certain amount of freedom for me in how I look at people's stories and how I look at their experiences. And so it's got me looking at a lot of different things in my life, like what needs to be told here that I would not
Mm,
normally tell because it's a real person's life, right? It's a
right.
real person's story. But there's things about it that need to be told. Like for Olive, I think that people reading it, the things that they are picking up in common, if you've ever been bullied, she's your kind of people. If you've ever experienced the magic of a best friend, she's your kind of people. So even though her journey is one of special needs and medical difficulty, uh, her experience is common to everyone that is breathing. And so I think that those are the kinds of stories that I am looking for. What are the things that they all have in common?
Is this your first book?
It is.
Oh. Did you self-publish or did you go through someone?
I went through Atmosphere Press,
Okay.
which I highly recommend. They were great. I don't think I could have handwritten a better first time publishing experience.
Mm, I'm surprised to hear that. I get mixed reactions when it comes to like the person's first book. And so most of the time it's either I had a bad experience, I've learned a couple of things, maybe I should have done this by myself. So did you go in blind? Like, I'm just going to write a book and then worry about what happens afterwards? Or did you like do research on what you would have to do, what the process was, with like editing, finding someone or a publisher, for that fact?
Right. I pretty much, my focus initially was just writing the book. And I wanted to see if I thought that it was going to be a thing that had a place in the market, right? So kind of did that first, took it through the editing of people close to me first. So I felt like it was a decent thing.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, I started doing research on publishing houses. I discovered that most of the big ones that I picture will not even talk to you unless you have an agent, and most agents will not talk to you unless you've published a book. So
Right.
it's kind of a cycle I couldn't get through. And I did have some good mentors around that time that could go ahead and say, yeah, 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 keep sending it out. It's worth it. There's something to do here. Atmosphere Press was one that I found because they put out a call for submissions. So I'd already sent, I think the book was rejected maybe 5 times by
Mm.
small publishers. And so when I sent it to them, it took a few months before they got a hold of me, but they felt like it would have a fit in their roster. And from there, yeah, it was a very steep learning curve for me because I didn't probably do enough research going in to know what was normal. I know enough to know that they are not normal. They were willing to work as fast as I was willing to work. And so the whole publication process was much faster than I expected it to be. I think from signed contract to release was less than 4 months. Again, it's not a gigantic book, but I mean, they paired me with just a fantastic graphic designer for the cover. I was delighted with what they did. My editor was great. I found myself thinking, like, I really wish that everything that I have ever written could be edited like this, because those fresh eyes, it was just incredibly helpful to me. So yeah, it was a great experience.
Well, I'm glad. I'm actually glad. So, has this experience made you want to write anything different, like a different genre?
Yes and yes. I went ahead and we published this as young adult fiction, largely because young adult fiction books can go to the adult market, but they really can never go back.
Right.
So I didn't actually, when I wrote it, I didn't intend for it to be for kids or for teenagers. Although it could be. I definitely thought it was something that could be read aloud or that could be handed off to a kid. And I think it's great how often that happens. But no, I can see myself writing an on-purpose adult fiction. Just because I think that, I think it's a different market. I think it's a different style of writing. Something that would be a challenge for me.
Is this something you've always wanted to do, write a book?
Yes, definitely. This is really silly, but like my dream from a ridiculously young age was to be an author that got interviewed on NPR. Isn't that really funny?
Oh.
Like, I probably should have shot higher and thought like the Olympics or something like that, but that was my goal.
Everybody has to dream, right? Everyone has a goal. I'd love to be on NPR.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I gotta ask Ariel here in your comments, what are beaver dams? The next baking adventure will be banana bread cookies and beaver dams.
I don't know.
What are beaver dams? I'll wait for the answer.
That's a good question. Yeah, there is a time difference between comments and us. So there's like, I don't know it's Facebook. I don't know why they do that.
Okay.
So yeah, a couple seconds anyways, you'll get the response.
Okay.
If anyone has any questions so far, just throw them out there because she's reading them. So, which is good. And hello to Chris. Welcome. So, I think that's it. That was the only thing? Oh, okay. Zucchini brownies have been my latest project. Ooh.
Are they successful? I hear that's a brilliant way to sneak green things into things that taste good.
Sure.
I mean, zucchini in general. No, I think zucchini is pretty good roasted though. But yeah, actually, I think as a really young bride just learning how to cook, my grandmother always had tons of zucchini, and that was one of hers. She did it as cake. She did zucchini chocolate cake, and again, you really couldn't tell that there was any zucchini in it. So maybe that was
really,
just really moist.
Yeah. Oh, all right. I've never had that. So interesting. So besides the book, we also talk about food.
Yeah, so let's talk about food. So I think at the time that I saw your ad, peach kuchen was what was in my oven, which I'm curious if any of your listeners have ever experienced kuchen.
Yeah, I did not know what that was. So
yeah, you need to know what
it's good because it's peach. I mean, so
yeah. It's a thing you need to have in your life. Seriously, you got to think like the crust of a lemon bar. That kind of shortbread crust, okay?
Yeah.
But with just tons of sliced peaches and sort of a custard on top that you bake so it sets. I'm telling you, peach kuchen is a thing that you need in your life.
Okay, I definitely need to have that.
Yeah.
I love lemon bars. They are my favorites. So obviously I would love the thin crust. Oh, and custard. I love custard.
Yeah, and it's super easy to make too, which is great. And because it has peaches, we get to call it breakfast. Because it's, fruit.
I would probably, sure. I can eat that for breakfast. Yeah. So, Ariel says they are made with butterscotch chips, mini marshmallows, La Choy crunchy noodles. Oh, okay, I know what those are.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah,
I know what that is. We used to call them haystacks. I like that though. Beaver dams. Those are really good.
I have another thing I'm going to have to try.
Yeah, you're
That was,
taking notes. Gotta write this down.
I'm well. Here's the good thing: this never goes away. This is also a podcast afterwards, so people can hear it. Besides listening to it, this was the problem the last time because I did a show before this one, just before myself. I actually had a co-host, and we always wanted to do some sort of cooking on the show. Either me and I have cooked things in front of people, easy things to cook. But the problem is I always get hungry and I just want to eat everything. So I'm like, I'd rather somebody else do it. So I'm just going to ask for experts. So the plan was, and this whole cooking thing and recipes and cookbooks and everything is their idea. So because I ask viewers, who do you want on the show? What type of author or person or a topic or whatever? And cooking was one of the big ones. So it's new for me. So,
Okay.
but yeah.
Well, it does seem like people are cooking more now that they're kind of more cooped up and maybe out of our norm. Like,
that is true. Yeah. And I figured authors, cooking, people are doing that more now, you know.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah, there does seem to be kind of a cool trend in cookbooks that they have become stories, which I think that cooking is, right? It is basically storytelling.
Yeah.
Even listening to you and I talk here, I think we're talking about our grandmothers, right? And the things that they made. This is, I think, one of my favorite cookbooks of all time, which I am tempted to say, yeah, if you have to choose between my book and this cookbook, you might choose the cookbook. I don't know. But Sophie Dahl wrote a cookbook called Miss Dahl's Voluptuous Delights. And it is her story. The whole thing. I've never sat down and read a cookbook from beginning to end. It's quite funny, but it's also all basic food. It's like 5 ingredients. It's super simple. And it is my most ripped apart, marked up, torn to pieces cookbook just because it's so attainable. She does her own versions of things like French onion soup, only she kind of makes it lighter. She swaps out all the heavy beef stock and does vegetable stock, and it's to me what fall tastes like now. And so there does seem to be a trend in cookbooks that become stories of their own.
Have you ever thought of doing a cookbook?
Yes, definitely.
Oh, okay.
I have. I just thought it would be fun. Yeah, no, I definitely have. Because of that, I come from a long line of proficient housewives. I come from a line of women that know what to do with the produce that comes into their kitchen. Growing up, this time of year always smelled like pie in my house. My dad raised apples for a living, and my mom understood that this was her job as his wife was to make sure that he had what he needed to go out and do the job. So during harvest, she was always having, a pie in the house, something special, so that when he came in at the end of a 16-hour day, there was something special there. And she learned it from her mom, who learned it from her mom. I mean, it's a long-standing tradition of homemaking being a high calling. And so having that ingrained in me from a pretty young age, yeah, I do think it would be an awful lot of fun to write a cookbook to pull in these recipes that I have watched them make for years.
Mm-hmm.
I have all these handwritten recipes from my grandmothers. That's treasure to me, to get to see the things that they made when they were my age. Apple butter. Okay. One of your listeners is, do you make it or just eat it? I'm curious about the apple butter. Because I've never actually made it, but I've had people bring it to me, and it's incredible. We put it on pancakes.
I do like apple butter. I've never had it on pancakes though. It does sound good.
Yeah,
So
especially if you...
food is good. Oh my god, this is going to be the worst. Talk about all this food. So yeah.
Yeah, you started the show with jelly beans. I wanted to know, what flavor is your flavor of jelly bean?
I don't have a flavor of jelly beans. So, I mean, if you were to ask anybody watching here, they all know that I love jelly beans. Most of the time, I will eat them on the show, which I probably shouldn't. But I'm a Jelly Belly fan. So they have 49 flavors in here, and I don't care what they are. I just eat them. So they're all mixed. Although I do like I like the butter. The butter.
Okay. Is it the buttered popcorn? Because I get ribbed for this. It's the best thing. I will buy those by the pound, like just that flavor. I think they're incredible.
I have. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's dangerous. So and I bought 4 of these, and yeah. I don't know if you can see. I don't think you can see, but I have my Jelly Belly machine over there that dispenses them. But because it's been so hot up here in the Berkshires, they got melted in the mechanism that releases them. So they're just chilling there. So I had to go with Plan B, which is these guys.
By the fistful. Okay.
Yeah. And I love Jelly Belly so much. And I used to eat other Peeps too. Oh my God. I used to eat those all the time too. But I had a thing with Jelly Belly, and it was, I don't want to say it was a war on Twitter, but I was doing so many things to try to get them to follow me on Twitter. I love your product. I eat it on camera. I tag you all the time and hashtag you and everything else. They wouldn't do anything. And finally I said something about it. Well, maybe I'll just switch to Brock's or something. And that kind of did it. So they liked the post. They finally liked it, but they never followed me. And I'm just like, ugh. All right. Peeps did the same thing. But Peeps is kind of good because what Peeps did is I actually called them. They actually answered the phone. Finally, I got somebody and I told her this story of I do this podcast. I eat them on camera. I love Peeps. Help me out here or whatever. So they sent me a whole box of like all the brand new Peeps or whatever. And I tried them on camera, like one at a time or whatever, but I don't really eat them anymore. So, but that was very nice of them. So,
very nice. So I kind of want to know, if you had the entire box, does anything taste as good as the yellow Peep? I'm a little biased. I mean, I feel like the pink rabbits, they're cute and everything, but I am convinced somehow that they don't taste the same as the yellow Peeps. Is that silly?
To be honest with you, I think it's all in your head because I've noticed that a lot of people have said that as well. And I've ate quite a few Peeps to know that, I kind of would agree that in your head, yellow, there's a flavor for yellow, but there's not. It's but I think it might be the coloring of the sugar. Maybe that kind of throws it off a little bit.
Or it's just like the taste.
I think the blue ones have a different taste too.
I think they do. I know it sounds crazy. Yeah. Somebody tried to convince me that if you eat Skittles in the dark, which is its own question, I don't know why you're eating Skittles in the dark, but they say that they all taste the same, that there are no different flavors of Skittles. And now all of your listeners are going to go out tonight and buy a pack of Skittles and eat them in the dark. Let me know later. Personally, I still think purple tastes the best, but anyway, it's one of those things. You think the psychology of eating, right? Like,
sure.
In my mind, yellow Peeps were the only ones that happened at Easter for my entire childhood. So I see these today and I'm like, why are you making blue rabbits? That's not a Peep. Although I never had Peeps send me a whole box, so that might have been different.
Yeah, I mean, that's not good to be eating a whole bunch of Peeps. Actually, I didn't, but yeah. But anyways, I'm so happy to be talking about Peeps. So anyways, does anybody have any questions so far about the book or anything? I know most of them are tuning in to see if they can get any easy. Do you have anything easy that you cook at home for these days that's, like you said, that person has that book of like 5 ingredients. Do you have something that would take like 30 minutes to make an easy dish for a family?
I do. It's called Coquette's Eggs. Okay. I have no idea how I got the name, but most people have their own scrambled egg recipe, so I'm not going to school you on scrambled eggs, except to say that hot pan and let them, do your mix it up, cook it in the pan, and take it off the heat before it looks done. Okay. And the magic of scrambled eggs is that it will keep cooking and then you won't end up with it dry. Take a red pepper, slice it up, rub olive oil all over it, and stick it in the oven at like 350 for maybe 10 to 15 minutes until they get just a little bit roasted. Okay. Not talking burnt. So you got those roasted, you're going to heat them up with a little bit of feta cheese, mix that all together, stick it on top of your scrambled eggs, put fresh basil snipped up on top. All it needs is a piece of crusty bread on the side, and it is the most satisfying dinner. I just love it. Coquette's eggs.
Okay.
And literally anybody can do it. This is like, crack the eggs and stir. It's visually doesn't have to be pretty. It just has to be on the plate. So.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. I love scrambled eggs. I like doing breakfast for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
So who doesn't?
Yeah.
I don't care if it's a bowl of cereal. It's breakfast and I like it. But I like my eggs and sausage and hash. I love corned beef hash. So yeah.
Yeah. Yesterday, my son, who's 8 years old, he requested waffles. He's like, "Hey, it's Sunday. How about we do brunch instead of regular lunch, and we'll make waffles?" And so my mind is thinking, "Okay, I'll look up my best waffle recipe. I started it the night before. We had overnight yeast waffles, and I start to mix them up." And he wanders into the kitchen. He's like, "Oh, what? I meant the ones like out of the freezer, the ones you put in the toaster." It was only 12 hours of work. It's okay. It's fine.
Did he eat them?
Oh, he did. Yeah, he said that was fine, and that maybe I could remember to do the toaster ones for breakfast the next day or something. So something about not being appreciated in your own town, and yeah. Anyway.
Okay, interesting. I know people have questions. I know they're waiting. And the problem is that you guys wait until the very last minute or when the show is over with. So that's usually what happens. So let's see. My aunt likes tropical Skittles. That's nice. French toast. I do like French toast. I had that not that long ago. So Chris says mountain apples from Virginia or North Carolina mountains. Is there like a delay? There must be a delay here. I love making apple butter. I made so much once. I had 12 jars sitting in the cupboard. Author Daniel Payton. Very interesting.
So I feel like a lot of these could go together. Your French toast with the apple butter, especially if that French toast was made out of like leftover brioche, something like that. Now, Stranger Things I never got into. I'm told that I was supposed to, but I always felt like I sort of lived the 80s. I didn't need to go back.
Right. Yeah. So living on a farm, so obviously you've experimented with different types of foods. You have foods. So is there anything like your go-to food that's farm? Because you talk about a farm. So
it's true.
What exactly are you growing down there?
Yeah. So we've moved around quite a bit, and we used to grow apples and pears and cherries on the eastern side of the state, and then the vegetable thing is pretty new to us. So yeah, this time of year, apple pie pastries are a go-to for me.
Yeah.
Now I've never had apples from Virginia, but I'm gonna guess, based on the mountain apple thing, that they're probably a little bit like what we used to grow up by the Canadian border. Which was basically the only place in the world that you should grow Honeycrisp apples, which I don't know. They're pricey in the grocery stores, but if you grow them in a cooler mountain climate, they keep forever and they're really tasty. So they're kind of fun to bake with. What else am I cooking with, I guess, right now? It's stuffed peppers. That's the other thing right now. Stuffed, just bell peppers that come in. Can pretty much be stuffed with anything, but maple sausage is my current favorite. Maple sausage and rice. Stick some cheese in there. It's pretty happy.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Okay. I know it seems weird to put that maple flavor with the pepper, but it works somehow. It works very well.
I'm going to have to try that. I do like stuffed peppers, the original way. So, and when you say the East, where exactly were you?
like Eastern Washington. So, still in Washington State, but they really ought to be two separate states just for how different they are in climate and in politics and in everything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, Eastern Washington, where we get, I don't know, 350 days of sunshine a year. It's a totally different kind of growing environment than over here, where you get, give or take 350 days of rain. It's a totally different thing.
Right. Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, if you like Honeycrisp apples, have you dabbled with the Cosmic Crisp at all? I'm looking at Amber's comment here. Cosmic Crisp is one of my new favorites. We grew for a little while.
I've never heard of that.
It's
And
pretty new.
I always thought that Red Delicious was expensive in the store.
I think
I'm gonna have
years
to take a look again.
ago.
It's been a while since I bought apples, so I'll be honest. But I do love apples. I used to work for a gentleman that has an apple orchard, but also has an inn. So I used to work for the inn, but we would go up to the orchard on certain days to help out, with tours and stuff like that. So, but I always got a bottle of the apple wine that he used to make, and it is the most delicious. And I think it was like a honey apple or something like that. Oh my God, it was still. I love apples in general. So, and the pastries and stuff that you can make. And of course, it is that time of year. Fall is pretty much, well, for us anyways, the leaves are starting to change. So,
yeah, we're there. Yep, the apples are coming on right now. I just picked up a box of ginger gold the other day, which is one I hadn't seen in quite a while. Kind of a cross between a Golden Delicious and a Granny Smith. So it's a greenish yellow, but it's sweeter than a Granny. So those have been kind of fun to bake with. Good for making applesauce. But.
Oh, okay. I love applesauce. I just had some tonight. Very nice. Daniel Payton, my favorite cookbooks I find are the church cookbooks. I didn't know there was a such thing.
Oh, definitely. That's a thing.
Any kind of charity cookbook where the recipes are gathered from the people in the group. Often these recipes are tried and tested over years, making them work great. I'll have to look into that. I don't know anything about that. So, yeah.
Especially if you're into casseroles. I always found that those church cookbooks have a pretty rich casserole life. It seems to be a thing.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I'd like to know what your favorite pumpkin recipe is.
It is a toss-up between pumpkin waffles and pumpkin scones. Similar concept. Both of them are best if you make your own cranberry butter with it, like a cranberry maple syrup butter. Just soften your butter, and you can pour some boiling water over dried cranberries, or you can go through the whole process of cooking fresh cranberries if you have them. That combination to me is my absolute favorite. And you can use canned pumpkins, or you can be that industrious person that goes and actually roasts your own pumpkin. I was told by my vegetable growing husband now that apparently the Blue Doll pumpkins, have you seen these? No. They look an almost ghoulish color, honestly. They're kind of a grayish blue, kind of angular looking pumpkin, but apparently they were originally bred for pies. And I don't know that I've never thought to cook one because I'm like, it's blue, but really? Apparently it's very sweet. So I kind of want to try that this year, but yeah, pumpkin scones, pumpkin waffle. It's all about the cranberry butter.
That's something else that I can't envision myself ever eating, but thinking that I do like both. I do love pumpkin. So that's another thing I'm going to have to jot down and try. So,
and they're super easy. It's a nice fast thing. I mean, it can be pulled together on a weekday morning, and it's pretty doable.
Okay.
So,
absolutely.
I see a question about the closest to a Honeycrisp that's out right now. There are so many new apple varieties right now, but I would say you should try. You should try Cosmic Crisp. It's really new, but I think you'd like it if you like Honeycrisp. And you might enjoy the Envy apple. That's another one that has a pretty comparable flavor to Honeycrisp.
This is all foreign to me. So I know the generic, Red Delicious, Granny, apple, the crisp, Honeycrisp. So that's pretty much it. So yeah.
Yeah, I can't get my kids to eat Red Delicious anymore. I mean,
Really?
there's so many better apples out there that they won't even touch them. It's too mealy.
Oh, I'm surprised. I love them dipped in peanut butter. So that's my
Oh, that is
favorite.
really good. That is
Yes.
really
Yeah. Anything with peanut butter is good.
good. That's a fact. Maybe not Peeps. I guess I've never done that. Maybe not Peeps.
No, I don't think I would do that either.
Yeah, it just seems like a sacrilege, but
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Just trying to see anyone else. You guys are very talkative, which I'm very happy about. So, what is your best kitchen hack?
oh,
That's a good question.
that is a good question. I need to think about this. Okay, I've got two. I'm terrible at just picking one answer. One of them you're going to have to try for yourself because I think that the jury is still out on whether this works. But I was instructed by my 12-year-old about this, and I've tried it a few times. When you are chopping onions and you are getting the teary onion effect, apparently, if you start with a wooden spoon between your teeth, like while you're chopping, your eyes don't tear up. I've done this a few times. It actually does appear to work. You
Really?
look ridiculous. Your dog is looking at you like, "Are we going to play fetch?" But it does appear to help. I would say that, and I don't know if it counts as a hack, but in the last couple of years, I've gotten really into bread making, and so I've gotten to the point where I'm looking at recipes and trying to decide, do I think that this is actually the best way to do it, just based on what I've learned so far. And I have become a tremendous fan of Jewish bakery cookbooks.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a whole nother level of baking to me. When you are proofing your yeast, add the sugar then, like a teaspoon of sugar with it. And years ago, my husband grew wine grapes and we worked for a winery. And so, they get into the yeast side of that and fermentation and everything. If he was sitting here, he could probably explain to you why it is that if you give them sugar to eat, it's a something and a something and a something. But all I'm going to tell you is that it makes it work so much better. Your yeast will proof better and the flavor's better. There's my hack. Wooden spoons and sugar in your yeast.
All right. Well, hey, if it works, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I've never heard of that. So with the onions, I heard something about running the knife under water or something, cutting, I don't know.
Yeah. There's so many weird solutions to that. Somebody said that you ought to, like, if you have a stainless steel sink, something about like putting your hands on the stainless steel sink, but I couldn't ever get past the gross tactile, something about the steel bothered me. Anyway, the wooden spoon at least doesn't gross me out. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Just wondering if anyone has any questions, food related or the book. Don't forget to go to Amazon. Other than Amazon, can they find it anywhere else?
Yes, and actually, I'm encouraging people right now to go ahead and go to your local bookstores. They're all hurting right now. Anybody can order my book. Any independent bookstore can get it in for you. So if you do that, shoot me an email. My website it's my name, which I'm not going to spell out for you, but www and then my name right there. Shoot me an email and I will send you a sticker to go with it to say thank you. So.
Okay. You're also on Instagram.
I am, again with the last name. Why did I not use a pen name? It's a really good question. I think in future, perhaps you will see me as Jane Smith. But for right now, yes, you can find me on Instagram at Barbara Braendlein.
Okay. What is the Instagram all about? Is that your personal account, or is it just about like the book and food and just everything in between? Or
yeah, this one is just pretty much the author page. So things about interviews coming up, things about the book, anything special going on. Sometimes you get snippets of my real life away from my personal social media. Nothing bad happened per se. I just am finding that I was away from it for about a week and didn't miss it. So I've kind of stayed away on the personal side, but author account is still up and still going.
Good. Very good. Yeast are a bacteria, actually, and they eat the sugar to grow and do its job.
See, there you go. My husband said something like that, only longer too. Yep.
All right. I didn't know that. I've never cooked with yeast before. I'm not really as long as it comes in a box with instructions, I'm good. That's usually what I do. So yeah, I can make a mean meatloaf, but that's as far as my culinary skills go.
That's a good skill. And you know what? Instant food is its own skill. I don't cook the frozen pizza in my house. I'm terrible at following directions. So, gotta have pizza. That's a skill.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What else was I going to ask you? I usually ask this question for every guest, and I love the answers so far. Because of COVID, we're kind of, some of us are shut in. We're doing new things. We're picking up old habits. We're finding new stuff to do that we probably normally would not do. Like me, read. I never really had the time for reading, and I picked it up and I can't put it down. I'm reading constantly. I know that family members like my grandmother and aunt, they're doing puzzles. Is there anything that you have picked up that you're surprised? Oh, I can't believe I'm doing this again, or something new, or what are you up to?
I picked up the guitar, which people have been saying for years, like, no, 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 you just pick it up and doodle it around until it sounds right, which is just not true. Way back when, before I was a mom or a writer or anything else, I was a jazz pianist. And so my mind is very linear when it comes to music. And to me, guitar only makes sense. I mean, I just think you had to have been high to have written this thing. Like, it's the four strings don't make anyway. So we had a friend who was severely affected by the shutdown, lost his work entirely. And so he was trying to pick up doing guitar lessons over Zoom. And so that has been my shutdown skill. I did learn Smoke on the Water, so I feel like I'm on my way.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm surprised at everyone's answer because it's, I think before when I did the show, I never really, we really never had time to be chit-chatting and asking people about, what they do in their personal life, because they're coming on as an author, and we know that authors write books and they have this one view, and we don't know them as a person. So it's kind of cool to find out all this different things about people, and it's really interesting to find out what people do when they're not writing a book. So it's kind of cool. So
yeah, that is cool.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but this is this show here, which I just started in February. I did a show previous for 5 years, but it was always online radio show. So the guest called a number, but you were still live and people could hear you, but they couldn't see you. So now this whole COVID thing, people are like, you're going to have to give the whole video thing a try. I was doing the Facebook Live off to the side while I was doing the radio show, but people only saw me. They didn't see the co-host.
Okay.
So, and they seemed to enjoy it because I had a way of doing different facial expressions when the guest was on at that time. I don't do it all the time. But I might have rolled my eyes a couple of times. But
now you get caught, right?
I can't get away with it now. I have to be very careful. Yes. But so far, since I've started the show, I have had just the greatest guests ever. I'm lucky so far. I have not had a bad guest. I've not, everyone has loved everyone that's come onto the show so far. So yeah. So no facial expressions this time around. So yeah. So are you getting used to this whole video thing yourself?
I think so. It's getting there. I think I can only think of one time that I got caught and I didn't realize there was going to be a video. But the beauty of it is, I mean, shoot, you can't tell if I brush my teeth or not unless I tell you, right? So it's like, as long as I have it, yeah, I'm definitely learning a lot. My very first interview after I published this book, it turned out the interviewer had just gotten out of the hospital and was still feeling pretty rotten. And so I think that actually he had no recollection of the entire interview. So I was kind of watching, and it was not live. It was going to happen later. So I was kind of watching to see, like, is it going to air? And maybe a month later, I get an email and says, so I don't remember what happened. Could we do that again?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, we can. I felt kind of bad. But yeah, no, overall, I think I'm getting the hang of it. It's I briefly had purple hair a little while ago, which is its own story.
I noticed.
And I did learn a really important lesson about not putting maroon shirts with a red chair and the purple hair. I think it got to the end and it's like, ugh, that was jarring. You know, one of those again. Didn't realize it was going to be video, so that happened. But things we learn.
Yeah, absolutely. I have been learning myself. I love this platform. Um, I really don't like being on camera, but I've gotten used to it. So, you know,
Yeah.
the way I put it, and I've had a lot of feedback from guests, like they will, email me back, I had a great time. Thank you for having me on. And um, I've gotten it where it was very comfortable. I've never really been told that before. So people, I have family and friends. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you talk to people that you don't even know. So for me, I always think that I'm talking to a friend that I haven't talked to in quite a while. So yeah, we're talking about the book or whatever they're coming on for, but it's also, we're just chit-chatting. We're having a conversation. So yeah. Yep. And then just the whole thing of it is just different for me. So I'm learning as I go. So, but I think I'm doing quite well. So yeah.
Well, I would agree.
Yeah.
I think it makes it fun. The conversations are great.
Yeah, they are. So again, I apologize for last week. I was very upset because I had no way of communicating. I had just I got home, I got ready. I had 30 minutes. Actually had 15 minutes to have her send you the link. And I went to turn everything on and nothing is connecting. Nothing's doing anything. And I had just went out and got a brand new phone. So I did not install any emails, no nothing. I'm like, uh-oh. So yeah. So I'm now finding other messages that you have sent me in other places, like
Funny.
Instagram. I'm like, oh my
So
God.
yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I hadn't, missed this. So yeah, it was not a big deal. And honestly, I was relieved out of my mind that it wasn't me screwing it up this time. That it was just,
and I felt really bad. So I'm like, oh, I gotta have her on any day, and I don't care what it is because people are like, well, you were supposed to have a show. Where are you? What's happening? So yeah, I went out, new computer. I'm good. Everything's down. We're good. So yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'm glad it worked out.
It did. It did. I think I'm going to have you on again because we need to talk more about food and because that's what the people are wanting besides books. Yeah, I think it went very well overall. So yeah.
All right. I enjoyed it. Anytime. Just let me know.
Absolutely. So thank you for coming on. And just for people I always tell people that are watching, if you still have questions, even after the show, just make sure you post them in the comments. I will see them. I can always forward them on to her. I will have to post a link to your Instagram so people can follow you and learn more about you and all that good stuff. So, yeah.
That would be great. All right.
Absolutely. So, again, thank you, Barbara, for coming on. And I'll be in touch.
Okay. My pleasure. Thank you all. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Well, there you have it. There's number one of food, but it came with a book on the side, which is always a good thing because reading is good. I encourage you to read this book because it sounds wonderful, I think. Very interesting. Not something you hear about all the time. And I think it's the first time that I've had an author on that wrote something like this. So I think it's very interesting, and I encourage you all to read it. So go to Amazon. You can go to her website. It's right there posted on the Facebook page. So with that being said, I have to go because now Daniel Payton has already started his show. And I got to go watch his show before I go to bed and have to work in the morning. But anyways, I will see you all on Thursday, and I will be posting information about that show probably tomorrow also on Friday, because we have a show on Friday as well. So that's it. Thank you all for coming on. Don't forget to like and share and do all that good stuff. Like it, whatever. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'll see you all Thursday. Goodbye. Thanks for watching. And thanks to Barbara for coming on, by the way. All right, goodbye.